What do you think about that before we jump into our
It's
topic?
ridiculous. They are trying to put some makeup on the ugly face of terrorism. They are trying to make it look like something nice. And I don't know how you make terrorism nice by saying goodbyes, waving goodbyes, or by giving them cookies, or by showing how a girl, an abductee, fell in love with one of those terrorists. It's just insane. It reminds me actually of one of the stories we are going to cover today.
Oh yeah, and it reminds me of. I mean, I can't even imagine a scenario like this, but there have been situations where, like, a tourist's wife will get kidnapped or something like that in South America, and she'll be held for ransom, and eventually he pays the ransom, and he gets his wife back safely, and then like, imagine people then praising the kidnappers. Wow, what great kidnappers! They gave the woman back after being paid the ransom. They're so nice. They're so wonderful. Like, wait, they're kidnappers. What are you even talking about?
Yeah.
So so it's such a weird situation to me to see these
It-
guys who massacred piles of people and then took a bunch of hostages and even took hostages from among the families of people they had slaughtered, and then they're being praised for their wonderful humane treatment.
It's like I took 240 hostages, and I killed their family members, their friends, and everybody else. And see how nice I am when I give you cookies and I wave
Yeah.
to you.
Hmm.
I mean, that contrast just shows you that they are hopeless. The pro Hamas people, they are hopeless. They don't have anything to show, so they are just looking for some shots on camera. And actually, everybody can see those are made up just for show, for media. They are not real. There's no genuine emotions there. How good is it to keep a baby for 50 days, and then when you release someone, you say, like, wave to the camera, bye, and it doesn't change the fact you are an ugly terrorist.
Yeah, we'll have to keep that in mind next time we slaughter tons of people and take a bunch of hostages and then release the hostages. Just make sure you give them a cookie and tell them to wait for the camera, and then we'll be praised. We'll be praised by people around the world for our wonderful actions.
Yeah.
But this is interesting because we see people praising Hamas for their wonderful treatment of these captives and ordering the people to wave, and the people wave, and then everyone goes, "Look, they're waving. See, they love them." But this brings to our mind a related issue, namely treatment of captives in Islam and by Muhammad and according to the Quran. I'm sure that every time you see something about praising Hamas, you're actually thinking, what does Allah and Muhammad have to say about this sort of thing? But what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, it's not only me. When I see something and I just say deja vu because I have studied Islam very well, so it clicks. It kind of brings a memory somewhere, and it's attached to it. It's not only me. I'm sure those who are members of Hamas, because the first of them that did the 7th of October, they memorized the Quran actually, so they are very familiar with the stuff we're going to talk about today. And when I saw what they did on October 7th, that they slaughtered almost 1,200 people, and then they took captives at 240, right away, an image came from the Quran. It's a well-known verse in Quran chapter 8, verse 67, and it talks about the prophet, how God was not pleased with him, how Allah was not happy that he took some prisoners of war. Allah wanted him to kill as much as he can before starting taking captives. We can read that
Wait a
verse if
second.
you want to read it. Go ahead.
Wait a second. So you're telling me that Hamas went and slaughtered a bunch of people. They slaughtered piles and piles of people, and then they took hostages.
Yes.
You're saying that this actually has something to do with the Quran and that Hamas was clearly influenced by the Book of Peace? I'm confused. You're going to have to actually show me this.
Well, well, let me tell you, Hamas, it stands for Islamic resistance. It's not any movement. It's an Islamic movement. Everything they do has to follow the footprints of Muhammad. It's not a random thing. It has some guides, some plans, some a book, a handbook. And what is going to be this handbook? It's the Quran. And they teach them jihad according to the Quran. What's the first thing that you do? You do a raid. Let's follow the steps of Muhammad. October 7th, it was a raid on the Jewish of Bani Israel. Let's make them as Bani Qurayda, Bani Israel. Let's invade them. Let's invade the closest tribe to us, those kibbutzim in near Gaza, and let's follow the steps of Muhammad. Guess what Muhammad did? The same thing. So they have a model, and they are implementing the model. It's easy. It's simple.
All right. Should we go ahead and read this?
Yes, it's
Uh-oh.
there. Yeah, I can read it. It is not for a prophet to have captives of war until he inflicts a massacre upon Allah's enemies in the land. You desire the commodities of this world, means Allah was not happy that they take ransom because they desire the stuff of this world. But Allah desires for you the hereafter. And Allah is exalted in might and wise. He's wiser than you. You should not have taken captives because Allah knows better. And he knows that slaughtering people is better than exchanging them for money.
Now, that's a very interesting verse. So he tells Muhammad, hey, do not take the captives. Don't take the hostages until you've massacred a bunch of people. And then we look at what Hamas did, and they massacred a bunch of people before taking hostages.
Yes.
That's weird.
Isn't that exactly what the Quran says? Do not take captives until you have done enough, you have spilled enough blood, then you can take captives. I mean, if you take 1,200 slaughtered on that day and then taking 240, that's exactly what the Quran says.
Well, I don't know what to do here because now we've spent the last 20 or 30 years hearing about how Islam is a religion of peace and tolerance, and then a bunch of people get massacred and hostages are taken, and we think this has nothing to do with Islam, and somehow you point out that it's exactly what their handbook orders. Strange stuff. But give us a little more background here.
Yeah. Well, that verse actually, it was revealed to Muhammad during the first big battle, the Battle of Badr. What Muhammad did, he killed, the biography of Muhammad says that he killed 70 of the infidels, and he took 70 as captives, as prisoners of war. And that's why Allah was not happy, because 70 is nothing. He should have killed more. And then he can take the rest. So when he took them, he asked his two closest friends, companions, Abu Bakr and Omar. And he said, what do you think, Abu Bakr? What should I do to these 70 people? And Abu Bakr said, well, I mean, they are our family members because we are one tribe, and just do not kill them, just exchange them for a ransom, ask for a ransom. So Abu Bakr, he was trying to keep them alive and take something in exchange of them. Then Muhammad asked Omar, what do you think we should do? Omar said, well, I have a different opinion. Knowing Omar, he's always aggressive, so it was obvious he will do that. And he said, well, I have some people that I want to kill, and they are my family members. They are